Evil. How dare the dev stream be started in the dev stream day of days? Go.
How dare we do a dev stream on a day where we're supposed to dev streams?
Exactly. I mean, who's gonna watch a dev stream on a dev day? I mean, seriously. It makes 0 sense. You with me, guys? See?
Alright, I
Nobody
changed my mind. We're
responds?
doing Xenoblade again today.
Yes. Straight back into the action.
Back into Xenoblade.
You got the Geo waifu.
Now I gotta ignore the Geo waifu for the electric.
Fucking.
Go get her ass back on the team because she ran off.
You don't need her. You've got the.
She is my only electric blade.
I love how you finally. You're asking to get that type of blade for so long. You finally get her. Accidentally activate her quest, and she's now fucked off.
Yes, I'm like, yes, I finally have an electric blade. I do one battle with her, and the next thing I know, she's fucking gone. I'm like, God damn it!
Just your luck. Oh my god! I've hit my inventory limit space.
Oh no!
Intention, what the fuck?
Saying Genshin has a hoarding problem.
Inventory kit. I've got an inventory capacity of 2,000 items, and oh yeah, I've got 1,000 artifacts. Oof! I'm
How's
gonna
it
have to
going,
start
Tiger?
using. Yeah, I'm gonna have to start upgrading my artifacts. Oh well, I'm fine with that.
Not eating today. I'm.
I had a McDonald's again today because, of course, I did.
I will eat your face without hesitation. It's funny. I just mentioned I'm hungry, and I see this meme about a cat saying he'll eat my face. My God. All right, look. Here's a meme.
Give me 1 second.
Pretty good.
Right
Finally
with you.
working on my fan game rather than seeing it gathering dust. I thought it was gathering sand. You get it?
But somebody's in a chuckle mood today, ain't there?
Because it's got sand and kill me.
Yeah, somebody's in a bit of a chuckle mood today. Give me 1 second, and I'll take a look see at that.
You cheeky motherfucker.
Well, hey, got that up to level 10. What did you send? You're good. You're good. You're good. I feel so bad for that
Yeah, me too.
situation. Everyone's memeing the shit out of it.
They're not doing a very good job handling it. That's my primary
There's not
problem.
much. There's not much they can do. It's wedged in the sand. They have to dig the sand out.
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel. He'll
Chat,
solve all the
rather than
problems.
here. You decide to show up, Emmanuel, and you're showing up in chat.
God, there's a crap ton of stuff. Infinity Plus updates. Ooh, I've been added. There we are. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Good. You're good.
Start scraping.
Just fucking. I saw another fucking Tetris posted a meme about that the other.
Tetris posted a meme about the freaking
Yes.
canal blockage.
They posted a
Really?
picture of the canal blockage and said when you try to do an I spin in a T spin slide.
I forgot to see it. I was apparently learning some history about that canal,
Yeah.
and there was a thing that happened a while ago where there was ships stuck in the middle of it for 8 years, I believe, and they were called the Yellow Fleet. And they had it was like a mini colony at one point because of just how long they were there for.
Not
They
really.
kept going from boat to boat, and I don't know, they were on Olympics. It was ridiculous. They were stuck there for 8 years. What else were they gonna do? I'll free up some storage space for my stuff. Get this to level 10. Might as well get all of my gladiator artifacts to level 10.
I had to go to my YouTube channel and check the previous devlog that I uploaded to make sure they was actually test stream day.
No. It was last week, bro. You're slipping.
Am I doing? I am, according to a manual, I am doing monkey flip. I'm hungry.
Eat on dev stream.
I did get. I ordered groceries yesterday and they came in today, and I got grapes. I eat some grapes.
Grapes?
Yeah.
Ew.
You don't like grapes?
No.
British thing.
Dude, I don't like a lot of shit. You should just know this about me by now.
Like,
If it ain't tea or crumpets, I don't want to hear about it.
if it ain't tea or crumpets or cheese and crackers.
Cheese and crackers.
We've hit the 5-minute mark a little while ago. We're actually in the 7-minute mark now.
They can keep waiting. We ain't got much to show. I lie. We have a bit to show, actually.
You have a little bit to show. I remember Emmanuel changing something about the.
Apparently, he just did a big push, didn't he?
That wasn't a big push.
He lied to me. He said it was huge.
It was huge.
Emmanuel, don't you fucking lie.
I remember him making a change to the enemy spawner.
Did he work on the wave system?
This is like quite a while ago. You were here.
Yeah, if he was here.
Oh, he's busy eating.
Who needs to eat? I mean, you didn't eat.
Yeah, I know. I'm not.
Well, that's a lot of Noctilus Jade.
That
should be enough.
I know I've done actually, like, not a lot, but like I've done some work.
When you've done so much work, you can't remember what you've actually done. Yeah. Wink. Wink. Nudge, nudge.
Alright, it seems like a lot of the changes and stuff I did were patches and fixes. So, I guess to get into it.
Lovely color. Nothing. I was just kind of mumbling about this game.
Yeah.
Ignore me.
I guess to. How you doing today, Michael? Started off, we gave the energy drop a new model, and by new model I mean we there's a model.
I mean, it works for it
Yeah.
because it's essentially what it was anyway. Just put a little particle on it, and then boom, you wouldn't even know.
Pretty good. That's good to hear. So that little thing has been updated. Oh, here's another thing. I completely forgot about this.
Oh, shit.
Rings now have the ability to respawn. I grab these rings, wait a few moments. They will now respawn. Be back after dinner, have fun. Alright, well, let's see when you get back, Tiger. Dinner. But you can now set rings to respawn. Or you can tell rings to not respawn on. And all of this code also applies to. So that ring spine's not going to respawn, as I told it. This can be set for individual rings, such as this one here.
Aussie SOS. I'm getting an advertisement for that for you. Aussie SOS. I think it's some sort of moisturizer cream.
So individual rings you can set to respawn and give them a respawn timer, as well as ring spline. Say whether spawning and how long it takes. Default is 10 seconds. I collected both of these rings. You listening to hentai in the background?
No.
I like how long it took to answer. Like, oh.
No, it's Genshin Impact thing. My microphone is super sensitive now. I'm not used to it.
So yeah, the rings on the right here took. The rings on the left here didn't take as long to respawn than the rings on the right. Just adjust their timer. And if you tell mine to just not respawn at all, they won't. Respawns after 5 seconds. Five and so we don't. I was gonna add a little like invisible ring mesh, kind of like what Sonic Adventure 1 has. So if you have like a set spline of rings that you can light speed dash across,
Ghost rings.
yeah, they're like. I think we were planning on adding that, but we haven't done so yet. So if a ring is capable of respawning, maybe you'll be able to tell it if it'll have a little ghost ring.
Mm-hmm.
What are some future plans for this new Infinity Plus engine? We'll get into that in a little bit. We can come back to that question. I just want to. Honestly, it won't take too long. The work we did is a lot of reworking and adjusting stuff, but
Oh,
it won't
freaking
take
hell.
too long for everything. But yeah, that's it for the rings. That's something I wanted to do quite a while ago, and I just never got around to it. Mainly because it involved reworking the ring interaction code. So between that and this here, one other thing that we've adjusted is I'm pretty sure we've shown this off. Maybe we didn't. I could be wrong. But Tails will cycle through bombs via the shoulder buttons now. So if I press E, you'll see up there it says like test bomb rolling, test bomb solid, test bomb homing. I'm pressing E to cycle through them, and I'm pressing U to cycle in the opposite direction, so I can go solid to homing, back to solid, rolling, back to solid, and all that stuff. Oh yeah, I forgot there was another one. Although it looks like the code is actually kind of broken. I'm going to test it. One of the bombs are missing in the list unless I cycle through it. Alright, so that's one thing that we have done. I'm pretty sure we've shown that off before. But another thing that we've shown off on the Twitter is adjusting bomb arcs. How it used to function is you could hold the shoulder buttons while charging up to throw to manually adjust the arc to a specific arc that you want, but that turned out to take way too long, and it disrupted the flow of combat quite a bit. So instead what we did is we've swapped the functionality of the face buttons. How it used to work is the face buttons would select a bomb for you, and the shoulder buttons would select an arc for you. Now it's actually kind of the opposite. The shoulder buttons will select a bomb for you as you can cycle through a list of bombs, meaning you can have more than 3 bombs if you so desire in your fan game. And you can use the face buttons to adjust the arc. So by pressing crouch, you get a low arc. By pressing the action button, you get a medium arc. And by pressing the special button, you get a high arc. So for a controller, B or circle is low arc. X or square is medium arc, and Y/triangle is the high arc. So, whoop. And the throw code will also remember what arc that you had thrown previously. So if I threw a short or a low bomb, I can simply another low bomb. Can you run or fly while grounding or dropping bombs? You can run while throwing bombs, like so. So that's something that has been a part of bomb throwing since the beginning. And if you run while readying a bomb, your top speed will actually lower. Meaning you can't hit the top speed you normally could. At least you're supposed to be able to. Emmanuel might have changed the code. In fact, I think he did. I have to... Your top speed is meant to be lowered, and so is your acceleration. So that way your speed is a little bit more manageable. And you can fly while throwing bombs, but we're planning on doing something different than what we currently have with flying, and I've just not gotten around to coding it yet. I will probably end up doing that this week. Maybe later today, maybe tomorrow. Haven't decided yet. That's the main thing. And the way that we have set it up is... bombs actually can change functionality depending on the arc that you have them do. So let's swap over to a homing bomb here. We are going to do a regular throw, and as per usual, it functions as intended. And it catches itself. Probably not be doing that here. I swap over to a homing bomb, and I throw it. It'll function pretty much as intended. And of course, if I do a high throw with the homing bomb, I can hit flying enemies much easier with it. However, because we've set it up so that updating the arc can also change the bomb's functionality, if I throw this bomb on the ground, it will snake across the ground, like so. So we've actually changed the homing bomb that if you do a low throw, it will function. There it goes. It will crawl across the ground. This is relatively new code, and it's not actually functioning entirely as intended. But it can snake across the ground like so. Which is pretty neat. So with the different arc code like so, you're actually able to program the code, program the bombs to do something different. So if you, for example, let's say with the regular sticky bomb, if you want the sticky bomb to function differently with a low throw, like maybe you want maybe you don't want it to stick right away, or maybe you want to change it so that its friction changes, so it slides across the ground a little bit more before staying, you can do so. you'd have to go into the bomb that you have created and say, hey, upon update, do this with this kind of update. And it's pretty simple. There's already a function that exists that you can simply just call that passes through the type of throw that's being, or the type of arc that's being changed to. So like, oh, I want you to change and do this on a high throw. All you got to do is simply call that function. The function will pass through. Not a function, it's actually a custom event. You call the custom event. The custom event will throw or pass through a integer that represents the throw arc, and then you tell the bomb to do X thing with said throw arc type. So it's not that difficult to do. So this will make creating the different types of bombs that you want to create with the fly parent much, I wouldn't say easier, but a lot more dynamic, allowing you to really be flexible with how the bombs interact with both the flight character, the terrain, and the enemies with this here. So with a code like this, almost any type of bomb I have will become a lot easier to use against flying targets like this. So normally a high flying target like that would be a lot harder to hit. See, it wouldn't even hit that target, but whenever I swap over to a high throw, now I can that target up there. And if I swapped over to, let's say, the sticky bomb, the sticky bomb is able to actually reach up and hit that target there, when it normally wouldn't be able to without me jumping. The enemy's right there, and even with the jump, I still can't actually hit it. So with the expanded arc, I'm able to hit enemies up high. And if I wanted to change it so that way maybe the sticky bomb does something different whenever I throw it up in the air, I can do so. I don't have any ideas for it personally, so it probably won't change any functionality. Same thing with the rolling bomb, but we'll have to see. Now, I did actually create a brand new bomb. Let's see here. Oh, why is it not showing up? I actually completely forgot I created this bomb. Ah, there it is. All right. So the nice thing about this bomb right here is it rolls kind of like the rolling bomb, but upon attaching itself to an enemy, it will actually carry the enemy up into the air. Once it reaches set height, it will hover for a moment, and then drop the enemy onto the ground, like a projectile. I call it the balloon bomb, or the floating bomb. All of its variables are obviously still a work in progress. It probably won't deal as much damage as it currently does. And how it scales with your scrap level has yet to be seen. I haven't decided exactly how you want to do it yet. But a balloon bomb like so has the ability to basically prolong fights or allow you to hold onto an enemy for however long you want. Like if you want an enemy to stay stationary, the balloon bomb will disable the enemy's ability to move, carry them up into the air, and perhaps you want to set something up below the enemy or try to congregate the enemies into an area. That way, whenever the bomb balloon drops, it will set off an AoE of damage, you know. The balloon bomb is a pretty good utility bomb, more so than a direct damage bomb. So how we end up scaling that based on the scrap and all that stuff will really help dictate the direction that we're going to move with the balloon bomb, but obviously all that's going to change. So if you have a different idea what you want to do with the balloon bomb, it shouldn't be too difficult to change it. Any plans for XP to level up when you destroy an enemy? That's what the scrap system is for. You can see it on the bottom left corner there, the scrap system. The scrap system, we talked about it last time. The scrap system is used for leveling up the scrap on your character. If I, for example, threw out a sticky bomb and I detonated it, it would deal 1 tick of damage, but if I level it up to scrap level 1, hit an enemy with it, it can deal 2 ticks of damage. See, that enemy had 2 health left, but now it will deal 2 damage. And once I level it up to scrap level 2, you'll be able to see it'll one-shot this in it with 3 health as it does 3 damage. And then once you reach the maximum scrap level, it'll give you a bonus scrap level 3. And once you hit maximum scrap level, it'll give you a bonus damage. And the very next bomb that you throw out will have that bonus damage, like so. As you can see, oh, that was supposed to deal more damage. I'm gonna have to adjust that. I'll have to look at that code. It's meant to deal 1 extra damage. And off I go. I'll have to. We still have to adjust that line code. Well, there'll be other characters have the same thing. Yes, all flight characters will have these abilities. These are all flight characters. So if we probably won't make any other flight characters ourselves, unless someone votes for a flight character in like the plus packs. Then we might create an additional flight character if that's what people really want. Say like maybe Rouge, Charmy, or something like that. Then we might do that. But if you want to create your own character, like for example Cream, all of these moves, like as long as you make Cream a child of the flight parent, Cream will have all of these abilities. So
they can be overwritable if wanted, though.
Yeah, you can obviously override them if you so desire. Another minor thing is all of the arc throwing code, like this code right here, this is no longer running in the flight parent. This is actually running in the individual bomb itself. So if I swap here, you can see that the arc has changed from the remote bomb to the homing bomb, rolling bomb. You can see all of these arcs are changing as I swap them. That's actually the individual bombs themselves running that code. And one of the reasons we did it this way is because it allows you to be a lot more flexible with how each individual bomb actually handles its own arc code. So by adjusting it inside of the bomb, well, there is a couple of reasons why. Emmanuel knows them more than I do, because he's the one that came up with the idea of altering it, and he's the one that actually altered it, so he would actually know, but off the top of my head, all of the reasons why. All I know is at the end of the day, having the bomb arc code being done in the bomb makes the bomb arc code more flexible, more customizable. So anytime that you ready a bomb like so, you're actually creating a bomb that's invisible and hidden. And whenever you swap bombs, it actually destroys that bomb and pulls out a new bomb. So whenever I swap from the remote to homing, originally there's actually an invisible remote bomb here, a sticky bomb, that you can't see that's calculating the code. And whenever I swap over to homing, it actually destroys that old bomb and spawns in the new bomb that then runs its own code, like so. There it goes. As you had probably noticed earlier, I wanted to move on to this anyway. After destroying this enemy, I got a cyan laser wisp. That is because the enemies can now be told to spawn in any type of actor that you want to. You probably, if you follow us on Twitter, you would have known that, you would have seen this because I posted about it yesterday. but enemies can now be told to spawn in specific actors rather than just like a single energy drop. They can still spawn the energy drop if you want them to. By pressing the dropped actor right here inside of their details list, you can specify which actor you want to drop. So let's say, for example, I want this enemy to drop a 10 ring, for whatever reason. It will do so on defeat, assuming I get lucky enough for it to actually drop, because the luck is still random.
Well, drop it. Are you going to add a variable for like just changing the rate?
We can do that too. We can spawn its or we can add an individual variable for that.
Individual.
Yeah.
Individual.
As you can see right there, there's that 10 ring. It dropped because I finally got a drop chance. But yeah, you're right. That's something that we can do. Is we can add a simple single variable in here to adjust the drop chance of a enemy or an actor. So,
yes. Because that would be a good quality of life.
Of course, I would also make it so that each individual enemy can be adjusted if you wanted to. Any luck with the cube wisp? Again, we've not messed around with any of the wisps in a while. This one change that I made with the wisp capsule is the first change to any wisps I've made in a long time.
Like a month at least.
Hey, also, look, it's Emmanuel.
Ah, Emmanuel's here.
Emmanuel's finally here.
You suck.
Wow. Oh, geez. Okay, geez. Wow. Hello, everybody.
Anyway.
Anybody happy to see me here?
No.
Damn. I guess I'll just go die.
We're such assholes to you.
Anyway, the drop code, the code that the enemies run whenever they drop an actor, runs on its own individual interface, so you can technically drop any actor, and you can, as long as you have programmed it inside of that actor, you can call a interface function inside of that actor to tell the actor to do something upon being spawned by an enemy. So, for example, due to how the spawning of an actor functions, they all have to spawn in at a uniform scale, so they all have to spawn in at a scale of 1, 1, 1, 1. However, I tell it here that whenever it's been spawned in by an enemy to change its scale down to 0.25, because these energy drops, they're not to scale. We're going to have to actually like give them a custom mesh, that way we don't have to scale the individual actor. We can just simply adjust the mesh of the scale mesh how we want, that way we don't have to actually scale it down upon spawning in. It can just be the proper scale it needs to be upon spawned in it.
I was going to suggest, if you want a custom mesh, we could possibly ask Chaos X for the one he uses for the 06 project, because that's pretty much what it is for Sonic, at least.
We don't need a custom mesh. We just need, like, I don't mind using the mesh we're currently using. We will just need to modify it in a custom way. Like, we don't need a absolute custom mesh.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Not that big of a deal. I'm just saying, once we modify the existing mesh that we're using. Because honestly, this little crystal mesh is just fine. I like this prism mesh. But so just say if you play as Tails, you collect the cube wisp will change color. Kill a cube. So you're suggesting changing the colors of the wisp based on the character you play, which kind of seems inconsistent. We probably won't be doing that. I don't want to sound rude, but that just doesn't. That would mix things up a lot. Honest, like, cause maybe, I don't know. I could see it kind of functioning, but I don't know. I'll have to mess with it. I'll have to think. I don't know.
Maybe the problem isn't like it's a lot. It's more so that
it's not that it's a lot. I agree. It's not that it's a lot, but I'm just like, what would we do with an idea like that? I have an idea on what we could do with it. and it would be useful for multiplayer. But I don't know. We'd have to think about it. We can probably talk about it later.
Well,
I assume you
had
already
ideas
showed
for
us.
the blue cube.
Hey, what, Reese?
I already had ideas for the blue cube.
He's talking about changing its color and stuff like that, depending on the character you play as. What was he asking, Emmanuel? What did we already show off?
Just a cursory overview, real quick.
We showed off the fact that rings can respawn. Showed off the adjusting of the bomb arcs with using the face button. The bomb switching, which I'm pretty sure we already changed. Which, by the way, the bomb switching is currently not functioning as intended right now, because you can't select a float bomb unless you're selecting a specific direction.
Maybe because I got rid of the snake bomb when I changed it. It's my bad.
Like, you can only, because, like, you know, you can press Q and E, you can only select the float bomb, which doesn't make sense, like, whenever you think about it, because it's getting the bomb length.
If you click on a list of bombs.
Yeah, we got float, homing, solid, and roll.
Interesting. I'll have to look at that. That's my bad.
It's weird. Imagine if anybody else has a battle royale. No.
I did actually have an idea like that, but
I did not
no.
want to think about that. Also talked about how bombs are capable of changing functionality whenever you change the arc, because I showed off the homing bomb and how it sinks across the ground, which is currently not functioning correctly. Like,
what do you mean?
Can you see the stream?
Yeah, I'm looking. What's going on?
Like, I had thrown... I don't know if it's going to do it. I had thrown the homing bomb against this wall, and upon attaching to the wall, it made an immediate left angle turn. For some reason. Like, for no reason at all. That time it didn't do it, but earlier I threw it, it attached to the wall, it went up, like, a little bit, and then took an immediate left 90-degree turn. It was really weird. Like, I don't know why it did it. But it did. Seems to be pretty inconsistent. I can't get it to do it again, but it did happen. Source, dude, trust me. Bro, just trust me. It happened.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's because it takes your velocity to figure out where it's going to go. Instead of doing that, what I need to do is just simply say, okay, I threw you in this direction. That's the direction I want you to go when you land, regardless of what your velocity is later on. Which isn't a hard change. I just didn't think of it at the time.
Alright, we also showed off the float bomb, the balloon bomb, how it hovered, picked up enemies, and dropped it, and how it's still technically a work in progress, as we didn't. I have not coded in any of the scaling for the bomb levels, which is, honestly, I actually forgot. I completely forgot about that. Okay, quick question. Didn't you make a change to the enemy spawner? I thought you made a change to it.
No.
Okay, I could have sworn
I don't know what I would have changed.
I could have sworn I woke up one day and you're like, "Oh, I made a minor, like a small change to the enemy spawner." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Hold on, let me look. Energy drop. Percentage. No, I don't think I would have made a change to it. I had no ideas that I would change for it.
Okay, and like I'm pretty sure it was just a really small, minute change. It wasn't that. And if we don't remember, whatever. And then
It just explodes one day.
And then just before you joined in, I just finished talking about how enemies can now spawn in any actor rather than just the energy drop, and how you can adjust it. There's also a few other details to go in about it. If
Fizz is in the way.
Oh yeah, I'll have to hide Fizz real quick. No.
Fizz died.
You can obviously do an auto attract, so if you, for whatever reason, want the object that spawns from the actor to automatically attract to the player, you can do so. You'll have to code that object to do so, but you can tell it through the enemy to do it. That's what both the Wisp and the enemy energy drop does, so remember it drops a little energy core, how it automatically attracts to me. Obviously you did have to code the object to do so, but you can tell it to do so through the interface that gets passed through. You can also do a decay timer, an auto attract timer, and if for whatever reason the actor is meant to give the player energy, you can also pass in an energy value if you want. I don't have it set up so that you can specify the energy value depending on the parent. So how it used to work is you could specify the energy value based on the parent that defeated it. So if a speed character defeated it, it would get X amount of energy versus a power and fly parent might get a different amount of energy from the energy dropped. Currently it's all uniform, one set energy value. I've not set it up to do so just yet. It'd be pretty dark to use the Wisp on to shoot, but the player's not gonna lie. Yeah.
He's like, war is hell, Shadow.
You can also tell it to launch the item for whatever reason, like upon spawning it in, if you want to launch the item, you can do so. Specifically, this dropped Wisp here. This doesn't do anything unless you have it set to a Wisp capsule. Now, you would think that if you're going to spawn in a Wisp to collect, that you would tell it which specific Wisp to grab. Instead, what you actually have to do is you have to tell it to spawn in a Wisp capsule, and then set the specific Wisp that you want it to spawn in as. I've already set up the Wisp capsule code to handle all of that, so you won't have to do anything. Just simply say, hey, spawn in a Wisp capsule, and then you set this dropped Wisp enumeration here to the specific Wisp you want it to spawn in, and it will automatically spawn in that Wisp. What will the multiplayer be like? Multiplayer has not really even been in discussion for a long while, just because we've been talking about other stuff. There will be no PvE or PvP with the combat, that's for sure. This combat is specifically designed for PvE, so don't be expecting.
It's going to be very bare bones. It's just going to be the very simple spawning in two characters and split screen.
Yeah, the multiplayer will most likely be very, very basic. It'll be like you and another player can spawn in. Objects should be functioning as intended with these actors, like what the actors spawned in. And we might include like a level complete scenario or two, like like the player one completes the level, so they're the one that gets moved over to the thing, and then like player two would be moved into a position. Would it be racing online game like Sonic R? No.
It's not online, it's just going to be local.
Well, we're going to set it up to be local multiplayer. If someone wants to adjust it and make it online multiplayer, they can. But we're not going to be doing it, more likely. On that note, also welcome back, Tiger. On the previous devlog that I uploaded on YouTube, I got a comment mentioning how Unreal has a plugin used for abilities that make it a lot easier for online play. That is called the gas system. I don't remember the name of the person who commented it, but I did read it because I read all the comments. We're aware of the gas system. We've already discussed it in the past. We're probably not going to use it just because it requires a lot of C++ know-how. And if we include it, that means anyone who uses the project is going to need C++, which is good knowledge to know. You should learn C++ if you're getting into game development. But if we're talking about like entry-level stuff here, that's not the best idea to do. So we're probably not going to use the gas system, but the comment is not incorrect. The gas system would be most ideal for multiplayer, especially online. What was he talking about a minute ago? Oh, the spawning in the actor. before we got off on that multiplayer tangent. By the way, I don't want to sound rude, but we usually reserve time at the very end of the stream for comments and questions, like that kind of stuff. Because we usually don't ever have enough to fill out an entire 2 hours. We usually dedicate like 45, 30 minutes at the end of the stream for everyone to ask questions. Like literally any question that pops in mind. It doesn't have to be specifically related to this stuff. But we don't mind questions being asked in the middle of it, but we also have stuff that we're trying to get to and talk about, present, and get out of the way right off the bat. I did remember one other thing that we needed to show off, though, that you implemented, Emmanuel.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, really?
I actually don't remember right now, but okay.
I didn't remember because it's still pretty early on. And it involves the enemies.
Oh, I remember now.
We have a little friendly enemy. This here is actually not really an enemy, it's an ally. This guy cannot hurt me.
And he will not pursue you. He will just ignore you, actually.
Yeah, for the most part, he will actually just completely ignore me.
Yeah.
Where are
if you
going?
want, he's just gonna go to the ocean, I guess.
Oh, and there he goes.
What you can do is that you can just simply grab him, either in the editor or as here, and just place him near an enemy.
So let's grab him, and let's bring him... Let's put him right here.
Yeah, that's around where I had him last time. Lamau, the dude died.
He is dead.
Ooh, we need to... Not this update, at some point we need to make like water enemies. Proper ones.
So this dude's gonna wander around a little bit, and let's bring this dude over here. Follow us. Let's go. God damn it, the friendly needs to stop walking away.
He doesn't want to be part of your sick experiments anymore.
As you can see, the friendly was alerted of the new enemy, and now he is not following me, but rather he is following the new enemy. We don't have any attack code yet, but he will be playing the attack code, and the friendly ally can actually be told to attack enemy units, like this one here.
Yeah, and this was simply done by changing the faction of him.
Yeah. The coloring has nothing to do with it. There's just custom coloring we gave him. But he has been given the... What is it, the player faction? Or... What is his faction? Yes, he's a player faction.
Yep.
We should probably include just a friendly faction that can still be attacked. Like, it's neither Gun, Iblis... Or is that World? Is that what the World...
Environmental. Environmental means that it hurts. It's hostile to everybody, or it just means more so it hurts everybody. Like, you know, lava, shit like that.
Could probably make a specific friendly faction, one that is friendly to the player but can still be damaged by the player, you know, and won't ever turn. Like, a friendly faction will never turn hostile even if damaged by the player. You know what I mean?
Peaceful.
Will Tails turn robots to a good robot to attack other enemies? We'll discuss that in a little bit. Friendly AI is something we're going to be discussing and working on in here with the enemy AI system. They'll more than likely be running all on the same AI blueprint tree, all the same Blackboard stuff, because all of it is uniform to the enemies. All of the enemies will be running on the same stuff. All that will be changing are targets and motives depending on their faction. Like, gun soldiers will only attack Eggman. They'll be like, they'll see the player character and be like, "Oh, you're a player faction. We don't care about you." They'll see a Eggman faction. They'll go, "Oh, you're the Eggman faction. I'm told to attack Eggman faction. Ergo, I'm going to attack you." As well as swapping factions, like, "Oh, you have been attacking me. I am now told to attack you now because originally we were non-hostile, but you showed hostility to us, and now we're going to attack you. All that stuff is stuff we're going to be doing with the enemy AI. That's honestly something we need to start working on here soon, because we're not done with the flight characters, but excuse me. The flight characters combat relating to the bombs and such, we're almost to the point where that's just about feature complete, where we're going to have everything we want in it functioning. All that's left is things like getting the individual bombs that we want and balancing and getting some more interactions set up for them. Once that's done, the bombs for the most part are going to be technically feature complete. We'll just have to bug test them, make adjustments, and give them models, sounds, visuals, special effects, stuff like that.
All of the polishing.
Yeah. There are still things that we want to do with the flight characters combat.
Yep.
But the flight characters combat is slowly coming to the point where we're just about like, all right, we're ready to polish it up. And once we get it polished up and we finish polishing up some of the speed and power character combat, all that will really be left are the enemies. And if we can continue working on the enemies and side by side with the flight character, which we have been doing, like as you've noticed, both this last dev stream, but I think the one before it, we've talked about both tails and enemies. We've been kind of simultaneously working on at the same time. But the enemies still have a lot of blackboard work to do. We still got to do a lot of the AI tree work, which we should really dig into here soon, because once we start getting this blackboard functioning, pretty much right now the enemies we're pretty much ready to replace the old enemies. We haven't done it yet, but I think there's like maybe one or two things we need to go over, double check are functioning as intended. But these new enemies, the new AI enemies, are pretty much ready to replace the old enemies now. And once that's done, we just gotta finish making adjustments and features and stuff to the enemy AI, and then we will be ready to discuss a release date for this.
Finally.
Yeah. One thing that is...
We are getting very close to discussing an actual release date to this update.
Yeah, one big, like, leftover thing that has to be done with the enemies is, like, unless we have to, like, some enemies need way more polishing than others. Like, egg pawns have honestly been, like, the focal point. So, you know, they have shields. We just made a few animations for, like, the lance enemies. And, you know, we have some shooting code. But for instance, the egg hammer, like, if we want to have them, like, complete, we have to give them some more animations and some code, obviously. The gun hawks, they don't really need animations, but they need logic added to them. Maybe the egg beetles also, the gun beetles need to be looked at too, because they just need to be ported over to the new enemy system. Because currently they have their own way of dealing with things. And this also technically extends to the Eggman boss, sort of. It just needs to be reparented so it uses the AI system, I guess. And just for now, you can just still go around a track and maybe shoot at you if we ever get around to it.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll get the boss code done before this update. And I do think that we're probably going to need specific, not really specific, but like flying enemies probably need their own branch, not their own blackboard, obviously, that would be stupid, but like their own branch in the blackboard for flight behavior.
Yeah.
Egg
they
pawns,
need their own sub routine.
Yeah, egg pawns, egg flyers, egg flappers, like you said, the gun hawks or the gun beetles / mono beetles, like those need to have like their own branch in the blackboard for flight behavior. But that's something
I actually
that will
found a tutorial. Sorry.
That'll probably come a little bit after we get a little bit more of the main characters, or like the grounded enemies. Once we get the grounded enemies more functioning, which for the most part they're almost done. We're almost ready to the point where like ground enemies can start entirely functioning. Once we get the attacking code up, we get some, projectile code for the shooting enemies and stuff like that. Once that's up and running, we should be ready to move on to the flight characters.
Yeah, that's mostly in terms of the shooting code. Like, I've done a lot of it already for the old enemies. I've seen it ported over so that it can be turned on by the blackboard. It'll still probably use the same logic for the most part. the same calculations and crap like that, and say IK stuff.
So that's kind of where we're at. I'm gonna probably here soon. Other than fixing up those issues that I was talking about, I am planning on implementing 1, maybe 2 more bombs, and then we're going to be adjusting and fixing up the bombs. And then once that's done, the flight character's almost to the point where we can start really adjusting and finishing up any last minute combat inclusions. Will Eggman have his egg carrier? That's more like a level. Like a level question. It's not really.
Unless you're talking about like an orbital drop.
I don't know.
Orbital drops.
That is a really open-ended, non-specific question. Like, I don't really even know how to go about answering that because there's like 10 different paths that could go down.
Darren says no, he will not have his egg carrier, but we'll have his egg yacht as always.
The egg yacht.
Yes.
He has his eggmobile. Oh, sorry. Spring popped on my thing again.
Oh, did we also mention that Reese got a new PC?
Reese did get a new PC.
Yeah, but work. Unreal doesn't work for it. Yay!
What's the point?
Everything works on it except Unreal.
That is unreal.
I have a better PC than the both of you, but it can't run Unreal correctly for a while.
You have a better GPU than the both of us.
No, I completely better in all regards. It's so much better.
I mean, if we're comparing, I have more random access memory and storage than you do.
Who's counting that? I mean,
we do count it whenever your GPU doesn't function.
Shut up.
Also, Reese, what's your monitor like? Like, how many frames do you get on it?
My monitor?
Yeah.
It's a graphics tablet.
He uses a graphics tablet. I forgot about that.
I got you beat. My monitor is 144 hertz. So
yeah, but mine, I can draw on it. Beat that.
I've got you both beat. I have 2 monitors.
Fuck.
I had 2 monitors.
Fucking Yakuza Slam. I'm glad I live on the bottom floor. If I lived any floor above that, I would piss people off with that.
Tiger says Reese OP. Reese would be OP if Unreal functioned for him.
I would be with my RTX 3060.
You have a 3080, right?
No, 3060.
Oh,
imagine running the Infinity Plus in Unreal 5. It would break.
I guess 3060. I guess 3060 is better than 2070. You can get a better frame rate than me.
Yeah, I've got a 2080 Super.
Yeah, it's one of the newer models. Of course, it's going to.
It doesn't always mean it's better. Like how they do it is that the 70s are always better than the 60s for the most part. But sometimes even a 70 from a previous generation is better than a 60 from a new generation.
It's kind of like a CPU in that regard. Like you can have an i9. There's some i7s that are worse than i5s, and some i5s that are worse than i3s. Vice versa. Yeah. You could get an i3 that's theoretically and potentially just as good as an i7, like a low end i7. So it really comes down to the minutia of the numbers.
Yeah. From what I can tell, I think Recess is better than a 2070, but I'm not sure if it's better than a 2080. I doubt it.
Yeah,
although
we'll have to see.
When it comes to RTX, I think it's probably better because 30 series are much more heavily optimized for that.
Yeah, I do have an RTX, but mine's a 2080 Super.
RTX.
Anyway, before we got on that tangent, back to the actual project here. Now that Reese is done flexing his cock, I mean,
I didn't rain this upon myself. It was you.
Actually, it was Emmanuel.
That's true.
Emmanuel. It was Emmanuel.
I was trying to make Reese feel better, and then instead he just took the inch I gave him, made it a fucking 12-inch long.
Why do you keep wording shit like that?
No reason.
Anyway, what are there any other features that we're missing to show off? I don't know.
To show off, I can't really think of any because we have the bombs. We have a lot of things we talked about,
yeah,
and things we want to do in the future, and things we probably want to talk about on stream, at least in passing. but
A good ship must have a big deck
deck.
that you can
Goddamn.
ice spin into a T slot. Oh, goddamn it. Yeah, I think we're ready to kind of just discuss things, because there are things that we wanted to discuss specifically with Tails. I do think there was a few things with enemies we wanted to talk about, but
Oh yeah, definitely.
a large majority of what we wanted to discuss involved Tails and flight combat. One thing that we had discussed, one thing that's kind of just a neat little idea that I think we're probably going to go ahead and implement, just to add an extra little, like, not really niche, but like, ability for flight characters. If anyone has played Mario, specifically Mario Sunshine, Mario Odyssey, or Mario 3D World, I don't think that there is any other games that included this feature. If you rotated the stick 360 degrees real quickly, Mario would go into a twirl. You didn't do this in Sunshine, but you could still do this move in Sunshine. And whenever you jump while twirling, Mario will do what's called a twirl jump, which is much higher than a regular jump, and sometimes, depending on the game, even higher than like a triple or a backflip, like a triple jump or a backflip, but you lose a lot of horizontal movement, so it's good for gaining vertical height, but not very good for other things. We're considering giving this ability to Tails, by allowing the player to jump while in a tornado tail spin. So whilst tornado tail spinning, you can press the jump button and do a tornado jump, essentially.
Yeah, tornado jump.
Which will give Tails a lot of extra height that he could maybe even do a fly out of, but very little horizontal movement. So you would not be able to move forward, backwards, left, or right all that well. But, for example, it could have a lot of swift vertical lift to it, and maybe have a slightly lower gravity to the jump, so that way, whatever you do the jump, maybe... Like, for example, if you're trying to get up onto a higher ledge, let's just say, for example, this ledge right here. Maybe this ledge right here, you can't jump up onto it, obviously, but maybe with a tornado spin, like a tornado jump, you could. Because, like, I don't want to go into a flight and do it. Maybe a flight would just simply take too long unless I prepped for it ahead of time. A quick tornado jump would allow me to hop up here. No problem. Barely any time lost. Or, like, maybe up onto this ledge. This ledge would probably be a little bit better because that's not quite as high.
It's pretty easy to get up to.
So say I wanted to get up to something up here, I could just simply go into a tornado spin and press the jump button. I could launch myself up there relatively easily without even having to, like, manually fly out.
Yeah. And also just make it so that Tails will have a way to get out of the tornado tail spin. That's a bit more flair. One idea I did have, I'm not sure if we'll stick to it or anything, it's just like, maybe if you enter a bomb throw while in this mode, time will slow down, kind of like Breath of the Wild when you cock an arrow in the air.
Notch an arrow.
Whatever you say, man.
You said cock and arrow.
Cock an arrow.
That's what you said. You said cock and arrow.
I know, but like I think it was actually yeah, you're right.
Whenever you ready an arrow, you notch an arrow.
Emmanuel, I don't know what's wrong with you recently, but you keep making these sort of quotes.
I shouldn't. Yeah, you're right, and I should know because I actually have like a merit badge in like archery. I actually know these things. I shot an arrow.
You do this to yourself recently.
You know, whenever you cock an arrow.
Nice cock.
Oh, nice cock.
Solid steak.
Solid stank.
All right, we can't get too off topic.
No, we don't even want to go down the solid stink route, okay?
Yeah, that's if we run out of shit to say, I guess.
Anyway.
Shit, we ran out of shit to say. Alright, let's go back.
Solid stink. I'm not entirely sold on the idea of running and throwing a bomb while doing a tornado jump, but we'll have to see about that one, just see how it plays. Damn, my glasses are just all over the place, but still.
You need to get an eye exam like I did.
I don't know, my eyes are fine. These are blue tinted glasses. These are...
Nah, dude, it's all types of messed up. You need to get an eye exam so they can tell you that nothing changed and charge you $50.
Yep, that's exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah.
I was about to say that's free here, but no, eye and dentist you have to pay for.
Good.
Again, another tangent. Another thing that we've considered doing, and this is to go back because Michael had asked a question earlier about Tails turning robots good. Something that we
I'll be
had
right back.
talked about in the past, Emmanuel has mentioned in the past, and while I liked the idea, I could never really think of a good way of like implementing it without like disrupting flow too much. But with the implementation of friendly enemies and the enemy blackboard AI, it could very much be possible to hack enemies, and it would also give another purpose for the scrap resource system that we have. So what we are considering doing is considering adding a what's
A down but not out state for enemies, essentially.
yeah, we're adding an alternative. We're thinking of adding an alternative state to enemies that allows you to down an enemy rather than completely destroying them. And downed enemies can then be walked up to and hacked to become friendly enemies.
Yeah, and essentially, like the cool idea we had about it is that since it's kind of like you break the enemy, but you don't destroy them. So in the future, we're probably not going to do this for this update. We'll have visuals to indicate that they're broken, maybe they're missing parts. And you're essentially using the scrap to not only hack them, but also just kind of repair them at that point.
So using the scrap system, you could potentially repair and hack into enemies, make them friendly, and then friendly enemies could potentially walk around and follow you. Emmanuel even came up with this whole XCOM fucking
Transistor.
this whole XCOM system where you could command, like, give a list of commands to targets and then they'll go and do this shit, which to me sounds, one, way too pace breaking, and two, way too situational in terms of like level design and combat and stuff like that. I wasn't really sold on the idea, and we probably won't be messing with it at all this update. Maybe next update, Emmanuel might throw together a demo and see how it functions with hacked enemies.
Oh, dude, actually, I'm actually really touched that you even brought it up, because normally if I bring up an idea that you're not really like keen on, we just kind of drop it. But actually, I mean, thank you for bringing that up, because
I'm still not sold on the idea. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, here's the thing. Whenever we get into developing things, we take ideas everywhere. Even though I am the head of the project and I am the one that like green lights and shuts down ideas, I take ideas from everyone. Everyone's allowed to present any ideas that they want, and we can see how fix them. And I'd like to consider myself flexible on ideas. But maybe I'm not. I could be tooting my own horn, like tooting my own horn here. But like, very rarely does anyone bring up an idea that I just hate. Generally, I'm like, if someone brings up an idea that I don't like, I'm like, I'm not sold on this idea. But if you can like throw together something quickly and like demo it and show it actually functioning, then maybe we can see where it goes. And every once in a while, Emmanuel will do that. He'll be like, all right, here's a demo of an idea I have, and I'll look at it and I'll either be like, okay, we can work with this, or I'll be like, no, this isn't a really good direction. This idea that Emmanuel brought up with the XCOM idea, I should have hated. Like, I straight up said no. Like, no, this is not a good idea. I'm not feeling it. But I'm still willing to at least give Emmanuel the benefit of the doubt. Not this update, because I feel like a system like this is not ready for what we have. And
yeah, I agree with that after a while, too.
Like, it would just take too long to set up, and what we have currently is not adaptable to an idea like what Emmanuel had. It's just simply not ready. So maybe next update, Emmanuel might throw something together and test it out. But even then, I'm still not sold on it. But the whole idea, to tie it back to what we were talking about originally, the whole idea of actually commanding hacked targets to do stuff for you is still something I would like to try out and consider. I considered a very simple system where you simply set, rather than commanding an enemy to do something, you set an enemy, I'm sorry, not really, it's not really an enemy, it's more of an ally. You set an ally's, what's the word I used? Not really mode. Yeah, their mode. You set a mode. You set their behavior, whether they're passive, they're offensive, or they're defensive. Like, I suggested a very simple system like that, where like, oh, you've hacked enemies, now they are allies, and now you can tell your small army of allies to either be defensive, meaning they will always hang around you and attack enemies that get close. Maybe they will be offensive, meaning they will actively look for targets and fight any target they can, or they'll be passive and they just wander around aimlessly. So I came up with a very simple system like that we could potentially use. And I think there was even a third idea tossed around. I don't remember what it was. But ultimately, if we do end up going the route with hacking targets to make them allies, we need some kind of command system. That way you have some control over what hacked enemies turned to allies can actually do. Because if you don't, then you just hack enemies and they wander around aimlessly and they're not useful to you. Like at that point in time, it's a waste of scrap. So you do have to have some kind of control over them. We just haven't decided upon like how we want to do it and what to do with that.
We also talked about like make it so that enemies can follow you properly. Because keep in mind, enemies are relatively slow, the ones we have. So even if we did speed them up, you also run into the problem of like navigation volumes and the fact that many of them can't fly.
Yeah, like it's the one thing with fly characters is obviously regular egg pawns just can't fly. Allies that follow you are restricted to navigational volumes. That can be circumvented by like, you know, teleporting. Like once they recognize that you are in an area that they cannot walk to. Like if they are like walking towards you and they recognize they're not getting any closer, maybe they'll teleport to you or something like that. That way they can always be near you, even in an area they can't normally access through their normal moveset, as long as that area is inside of a nav volume, you know?
Yeah. I did just think of a really dumb idea, but continue.
That's kind of just a minor restriction. I just noticed, other than the captain enemy, all of these enemies are just standing still. None of...
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a resource thing, but whatever. That is kind of a limitation to the idea. Like, if you want that to be included in your fan game, that's something you're going to have to take into account, is the fact that enemies will be limited to, you know, nav meshes, or not only enemies, but allies are also limited to nav meshes because they rely on the nav mesh to be able to move about space in your game, as well as, you know, I don't think they're required to have a nav mesh to communicate, interact with, like, you know, the blackboard or whatever, but that's another thing I think we'll have to consider. Like, if enemies are going to attack, we have to create a specific... Maybe the flight characters the flight characters would need to have a combat director as, like, a child component. That way, any hacked allies can take... Because, like, in order for the AI enemies currently to do anything other than walk around, they need the combat director to communicate with the blackboard.
Reese, we were talking with Reese about that. He said we can find a way to circumnavigate it because the common director currently, all the point of having a common director is simply so that if you have multiple enemies, they don't hit you at the same time.
Yeah.
If you have allies, that's not an issue because for one, we don't care if it's fair for the enemies, and two, like you're probably gonna have like 4. So we could just circumnavigate that, just make so that they don't need it for that.
Yeah, that's true. We'll have to test around and play with it, see what does and doesn't work, because we'll mainly just have to see.
One stupid idea I had is that maybe if the enemy can't get somewhere, you just pick them up like Sonic Hero style, and then use thunder shoot them. I know, dumb idea, but it'll be kind of funny. Just having an egg pawn and an egg hammer underneath tails.
So those are some ideas and concepts we had for flight characters. The idea of hacking into a target, because the bombs are nice. The scrap system is nice, and the tornado tailspin and even the bash move, once we get that functioning, all that's nice, but I do feel like there is just something missing for the flight characters. I feel like a hacked scrap system like this can work. It helps integrate the scrap into more than just bombs. It includes a little bit more balance involved with that. And it really fits into the nature of the flight characters. Flight characters are more technical characters, so hacking at enemies can be an actual thing for most all flight characters. So to me, it kind of just made sense that it could function that way. I don't know if we'll end up getting that functioning for this update. We'll have to see, because that really, for the actual flight characters themselves, that's not going to be a big issue setting up. All of this is going to be reliant on how much we get done with the enemy AI, because this entire system relies on the enemy AI to function.
Yeah, and we need to work on it way more.
Yeah, we
before
need to
can
work on
really
the enemy
concretely-
AI more. Once we get that into a more finished, better state, then we can really evaluate the validity of this idea. I don't personally, currently how everything is set up, I don't see it being a problem. I think that it can work, but we will just have to see at the end of the day. We don't know for a fact, but it is something that I would like to try. And at the end of the day, we're not going to use T-Pup, though.
I'm
Yeah,
back.
we're not.
Not using T-Pup. We're probably going to
We're not using T-Pup.
Tails is probably going to walk up to a downed enemy and pull out his Miles Electric and like hack him or something. And if it's a character like Cream, maybe she'll set down Omochao and Omochao will hack it or something.
And Booze will just, Ruse will just flash.
Did you legitimately just call her boobs?
What the hell, dude? What is up with you?
Well, because I was going to say Ruse will flash for Booze, but then I just
Mix the...
I jumped the gun. Fuck.
God damn.
Guys, I have a secret. I'm like the Hulk, except for being angry all the time. I'm just really always thinking about boobs.
Yes, extra
cock.
on max.
It's my secret cap. I'm always thinking about boobs.
I mean, it's spring.
I'm always horny. That's my secret cap.
Anyway. I'm ordering food. I'm hungry. I've not eaten at all today.
Yeah.
I just had snacks.
Uh-oh.
What?
Tiger has redeemed no cursing. Although
No
Zero.
cursing.
Wait, how does that even work? What is that?
This is my channel points.
That's
How long
what I've
does
been
that work?
redeeming.
If I remember correctly, the no cursing works. Originally, it said no cursing for 10 minutes, but I cannot go 10 minutes without cursing. So I
17,000 spare.
Still have 13,000. I am gonna have to ask. I will allow this one, but I am gonna ask that, like, for future reference, we try to avoid using these on dev streams. Any other one of my streams, because I am streaming more frequently. If you want to use these on any other streams, that's fine. I don't care. They're there for that purpose. The dev stream is trying to be a little bit less about me and more about all about the dev stream. You know, the project, everyone working. So. I'll allow it this time. It's not a big deal. People use it during the dev stream, but I'm just like, they're more so.
You don't have to watch your words.
Streams.
I got 75.8 thousand points.
Jesus Christ. That is a heck of a lot.
I got all the points. I could just spam channel point stuff as much as I want.
How do you do that, actually? Where do you go to spend? Actually, I'm not going to ask. That's a bad idea.
In the chat bar, you go down to the little Fizz icon, the little Fizz emote, and you click on it.
Click on it.
And you can redeem a reward.
Feed Fizz, Streech, Random Sonic Fact.
Stretch.
Stretch.
Alright, I'm not doing that one. I already told you I prefer it not be done.
But you got stretch.
Emmanuel, you're the one who's going to get told off, Emmanuel. God damn it, man. You've been warned.
Just here, I'll stretch for you. Okay, that actually feels good. I actually should stretch earlier.
I stretch all the time, but that's just because I'm lazy.
Well, stretching is not a lazy thing. People have to do it.
Trying to think of questions when I'm out. Yeah, we're about to the point where we're ready for questions and discussions. Wasn't there one thing that we wanted to talk about with the enemies, Emmanuel, like we had discussed doing with enemies?
I guess. Let me go down the list. We wanted to talk about that one idea for the egg pawns to give them sort of like a lasso. We wanted
that is something I forgot about. I completely forgot about that idea.
We probably want to talk more about how enemies will go into stunned and possibly prone states, because that may lead into the down but not out state idea.
Maybe that's another thing, because we considered stun/prone states, that's something we were considering for our characters primarily, but that's something we could do for flight characters too. Like, if you knock an enemy prone, you could potentially hack them. Like, we could probably do both. Like, you can have a downed enemy that isn't defeated, like, that isn't dead, and, like, maybe that's a confirmed hack, but maybe if you try to hack into a prone enemy, you have a chance of not succeeding, you know?
Yeah.
We'll
Or you could, I don't know, pick them up. I don't know. I mean,
as you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be a hard thing to do. I think we also have to think of it like how we want to implement it, because we have to figure out if we only want to stun enemies if you do like electric moves, or you just want to make sure that it's just a certain criteria. Like maybe an attack just has to have a certain parameter. Like maybe, for instance, Knuckles' uppercut can just have a stun parameter, so it will just stun enemy it hits, or maybe it'll prone an enemy it hits. We also need
Knuckles' uppercut is already powerful as shit. We need to stop buffing the uppercut.
Damn it, you're right. But on top, in real talk, we also need to. I have a problem. I keep hitting my desk, my poor desk.
You keep hitting your desk and you keep buffing everything.
I can't help it.
You keep buffing things that don't need buffs. They're already powerful enough. Anyway, as you're saying.
Yeah. Something I actually need to talk to Reese about this. We actually do need some more general purpose enemy animations if we want to go forward with the stunned and prone idea, because we need animations to differentiate when they're in that state. Like maybe if an enemy is like simply taking hit stun, they just sit on their ass. But if they're prone, they lay on their stomach. And if they're stunned, maybe they lay on their back. I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure we're gonna need at least one or two extra animations for them.
Mm-hmm.
Not elaborate ones, just like something
stuff.
quick.
Something to like convey what it is they're actually doing. Because there is a difference between hit stun, prone, and things like that.
Yeah, because like you don't have to show it off, but like if you're familiar with the combat, how it works for everyone else involved is if you hit an enemy, they go into hit stun immediately, which is nothing new.
But how it works indicated by their flashing, like their hit stunned enemy is flashing white.
Yeah, but on top of that, if they hit the ground, because remember the flashing was something we added later on. If they hit the ground while they're in hit stun, they'll actually just fall down and they won't get up until they're out of hit stun, and that's going to get confusing if you want to have a prone enemy, because how are you going to show that enemy's prone? You know, so we would have to probably change that around to convey it better. If we really have to, we could add an icon. So I'd rather not have to resort to that, so it can have a cleaner looking aesthetic.
Yeah. One thing I completely forgot to mention is sticky bombs will actually stick to enemies now. If I hit an enemy with a sticky bomb, it'll actually stick to them.
Yeah, if you smack him, he'll go.
So this enemy's gonna walk around with this sticky bomb line.
What's on my back? Something I like to do with the homing bombs now, the grounded versions, is to like throw them while running, hit an enemy, and then it'll catch up and mess it up.
Bonk.
Because something you may know about the homing bombs when they're grounded is that they actually start slow, but they speed up really quickly to like 11,000. So they can outpace you. Ooh, here's an idea. Do the sticky thing, but float them, have them fall down, then blow them up.
I can't reliably get the float bomb, remember? I can try it, but... Bonk.
Yeah. I mean, look at it now, I guess like we're probably going to change some things around so you could do, like, if you wanted to do that, it would be a bit faster. But the bones are definitely there. It's probably mostly targeting, you know?
So, yeah. There was also that idea with the enemies that we talked about. There's one...
The one we can't remember?
The one that I forgot about that you had mentioned.
The lasso.
Yeah, the lasso. One thing that we had kind of noticed about enemies right now is that enemies are... Of course, obviously, the AI is not finished, so enemies don't really attack you. But from our experience with the enemies back whenever they did attack you with the old enemies, is enemies kind of suck offensively. There is basically two different types of enemies. There are enemies with a gun, and then there's everyone else.
Well, shields also. Like...
I mean, shields also, but that's not offensive. Shields are really good for defense, and I think that how shields function right now are fine. I think they're actually really great. Only certain types of attacks can bypass them. Shields can be set to either break or be invincible. And and they're really good at defending themselves whenever they need to. They can also be directional shields and stuff like that. So shields function really great and are great as like a complement to basically any state that an enemy is in, but that's all shields really are, is they're a complement. They're not really the main thing that enemies do. So shielded enemies are really great for defending a single target, obviously, but when it comes to actually attacking someone, shields don't really do much. They just prolong the life of the enemy.
Yeah, unless you add in like those electric shields for the egg fighters, but yeah.
Yeah, there's the electric shields, and there's also spiked shields, and there's also spring shields that we don't have quite yet functioning, but we'll have to get that working here soon.
We have the models for them, kinda.
Yeah, we just don't have them properly swapped. So the thing is there are basically two types of enemies that aren't gun enemies. There's the short-range punched combat, and then there is the lanced enemies. The lanced enemies are meant to have more range and be slightly more dangerous than the regular melee punching enemies. And technically they are. They do have slightly more range. One thing we could probably do is also adjust their attack speed to be a little bit faster.
Yeah, we also are going to add more attacks. Then we had 2 we wanted to add. We just never got around to it.
Yeah. So the thing is we don't want to make basic enemies too powerful because they kind of serve the purpose of being fodder. There's nothing wrong with having fodder enemies. Fodder enemies, as long as they serve a purpose, and they as long as they have a purpose and they serve that purpose, fodder enemies are fine. Especially in a combat game or games with expansive combat like what we're working on right now. But the thing is unless an enemy has a gun, they are kind of all fodder enemies. So any enemy that isn't these egg hammers or a gun enemy like the gun hunters, if they don't have a gun or they're not a heavy enemy like the egg hammer, they're essentially all fodder. So we came up with an idea of trying to make basic egg pawns without extensive range like a gunned egg pawn be more dangerous, and we came up with the idea of a lassoed enemy. So if anyone is familiar with Knuckles Chaotix, there is what's called the sling ring in Knuckles Chaotix. And the sling ring, attaches 2 players together. What our idea is to keep egg pawns like sling ringed egg. We consider the idea of giving an egg pawn a sling ring that gives them more range than any basic egg pawn that doesn't have a gun, but not as much range as an enemy with a gun. But at the same time, making it so that, they're not overly dangerous. So my idea was that if you are attached to a enemy with a sling ring, the enemy basically will act as an anchor point for you. If you're a character like a speed character, you could probably eventually pull away from them, or maybe any character could eventually pull away from them given enough force, but perhaps speed characters are just better at it. The whole point of the sling ring character is kind of just to keep you still, not necessarily in one place, but within certain range of the enemy. That way you can't move around extensively and you can't get away, giving other enemies that have less of a range more benefit, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and also make it so that because as you mentioned before, we wanted to make them kind of dangerous, like they can serve a threat, but the threat's not immediate. Because one thing keep in mind is that in a Sonic game, getting hit just sucks in general. Because even you just lose your rings, and it's no good.
Yeah. So the big difference between an enemy with a sling ring versus an enemy with a gun is the threat may not directly come from the enemy with the sling ring. The threat might come from the fact that you are hampered, and other nearby enemies can damage you more easily because you're slightly hampered. Of course, this could be balanced in a way that, obviously, you could just go and destroy the enemy with the sling ring, and then you could be free. Maybe enemies with a sling ring have an inert shield to them, or something like that. Like, you have to hit them so many times in order to break the shield before you can move on and do something else. Or if you run away from them fast enough, or long enough, the sling ring link will eventually break or something like that. We haven't come up with a specific, balance to them yet, but I do think that it could be extremely useful for not only just for the purpose of giving enemies more functionality, but like I think like enemy squadrons as a whole will be more useful. Not necessarily useful, but more dangerous. You know what I'm talking about. Like other enemies that normally would suck could have the potential of functioning better here.
Yeah, without resorting to a lance or a projectile. Because right now, like there's other projectile weapons even Eggpons can use. Like I think they can use bazookas also technically from Sonic Heroes.
Yeah.
And there's also different types of shields. But like the only thing had was the lance, which was just kind of like, oh, they have a lance. And that was it. So adding in like it's also entirely new. Like we don't have any enemies that are like essentially like cowboy wranglers, which is kind of a cool concept when you think about it. Catching Sonic is something that it feels like more enemies should focus on because his key is speed. If you just stop the speed, what else does he have?
Yeah, that's one thing that kind of always annoyed me about, and this is like 90% of all enemies that Eggman has ever created. There are some enemies that stand out in this aspect, but like Sonic's whole thing is speed. So you should be building your bots to combat speed. And yet he doesn't. Like hardly any of his badniks combat fast characters. They're built to combat normal characters, like normal people. Which is fine, and it's fair, but considering Sonic is the one that foils his plans all the time, you would think that he would build more machines that are catered to fighting fast characters or fast opponents, and they don't. And that kind
we
of
know
annoys
that
the fuck
they're
out of me.
games, but
Yeah.
Still.
Obviously, it's a game. It's, whatever. That's not a big deal. But a system like this, you would think would be something that Eggman would do. Like, rather than, like, trying to do something that, rather than trying to build something that is as fast as Sonic, build something that slows Sonic down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, which to me is kind of an interesting little idea. You go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, one thing we could probably do with the lasso idea is also probably just make sure the character can't jump while they're in that state. Because if you can jump, then Sonic can just simply homing attack the enemy and get it over with. So if you just make sure you can't jump, like I'm not saying Sonic obviously doesn't have tools to deal with enemies while on the ground, but it makes it so that you just have one less option. Like for instance, the shield gets rid of boosting and homing attacking, but this one says, okay, you can't homing attack.
Well, like I said earlier, it could be that sling ring enemies have an inert shield, like a barrier around them. Like perhaps the fact that they have a sling ring gives them a barrier that you have to break in order to destroy them. So they're not going to be simple one-hit enemies more than likely. They're going to be priority targets because a single sling ring enemy could turn a simple platoon into something dangerous if you don't prioritize the sling ring enemy.
Yeah, you could also just give it a shield depending on how if we make it like a left hand component, like left hand being shield or no shield, then I see the point of like giving it. But if you just make it like a primary weapon on the right hand, along the lance and the gun, there's not really much of a point in giving a shield because you can just give it one if you feel the need. But I do see your point.
Because like simply taking out the enemy would be a priority, and if you're cut by the enemy, then it becomes priority number one because you are now hampered in combat. And generally, one thing that I generally don't like in a lot of combat games is being hampered. That's something I find annoying. I would rather the difficulty and the challenge come from more natural things. Being hampered is something that normally annoys the hell out of me. So, something's wrong whenever I'm suggesting being hampered in some way. But, like, if we balance it correctly, it can not be annoying while still posing a challenge.
Yeah, and it could pose different solutions for different characters. Like, for instance, if we were to go with the no jumping thing, it would make it so that Knuckles would be way more potent at dealing with it because he can just punch. Whereas Sonic has to boost or kick or something. And Tails has to... Well, Tails can just Tails fight. Yeah, I think it's true.
Yeah. Sonic could kick, Knuckles could punch, Tails can Tails fight. Not being able to jump isn't that big of a deal of a combat situation, considering you have more moves than just jumping and homing attacking, even as a speed character.
That's true, but keep in mind that like I'm imagining like if you get slinged by an enemy, you're probably not close to them when they do, or you're imagine if you run by and they sling you, you're not going to be facing them initially, so you have to turn around and deal with them. And it's not like the characters don't accelerate quickly, but it's definitely a lot slower if you can't homing attack. So you have to turn around. Knuckles has a bit of a buff because he kind of homes in on enemies when he does it, but Tails and Sonic don't on the ground.
Yeah, this will probably not affect Knuckles too much. Knuckles already excels at close quarter combat, so this is not that going to be big of an issue. But for characters like Tails and Sonic, that'll definitely be more of an issue than power characters, which is fine.
Yeah. Sonic even more so because Tails excels at range, so he could just never enter the range of the enemy.
That's true.
If he played his cards right, which is fine.
If Tails plays his cards right, then he wouldn't even have to worry about fighting anything. I have noticed that fighting enemies with guns is actually harder with Tails because most gunned enemies actually have more range than the Flight Parent does.
Yeah.
Which to me isn't that big of a deal because in traditional RPG games, archers tend to counter flying enemies, from what I've noticed. So if you play like Fire Emblem or Shining Force, if an enemy has a Pegasus or some type of flying unit, you want to use archers against them because archers are ranged targets that excel at hitting flying targets. So to me, that just makes sense.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Also, you can play around the range of the enemies. So I made the gun hunters have extremely long range because I just wanted to show that off, but they don't have to have that.
Yeah. These fuckers up here are hard to fight as Tails just because they have really long range.
Yeah, although with the homing enemies, the grounded homing snakes, you can actually kind of deal with the one up there more easily because the snakes will just go up there and fuck them up. I mean, mess them up.
No, that timer is long over. The no cursing lasts. It's supposed to last 10 minutes, but I think said like it lasts like 5 minutes. I think like because I'm not gonna not curse for 10 minutes straight. That's
God, Fizz, gotta learn to stop cursing. Come on.
But I like saying the fuck
fuck,
word.
you're right. Shit.
Listen here, you little fucker. Stop swearing like that, you little shit. I just told you to stop and you kept
fucking
fucking
Minecraft
doing it.
server.
Cannot fucking believe that you're trying to fucking swear all the goddamn time. I'm fucking sort of fucking.
You're gonna
Balls
get
off the ledge.
fucking kicked.
Bonk.
Whenever I hear stuff about that, like where it comes to swearing limits and stuff, I always think back to the whole
How
South
dare.
Park thing. Like,
Oh no, we're gonna make Tiger cry.
Tiger's gonna get upsetty.
Because wasn't it a thing where South Park, I don't know if it was in the movie or if it was in a episode, they had like that whole quote because you're allowed to swear so many times in a program before it gets a higher rating or something like that.
I think
And
so.
they
Like,
swear just one under what it would recommend, but it's still like a crap ton of stuff.
Yeah, that's something that South Park did. I believe it's movies because you can only swear so many times inside of a movie before the rating system will bump it up. Like even in a rated R film, like a rated R film is allowed so many swears of different kinds before it becomes a 17. It's was it MA? Yeah, it's an MA-17 is the next rank up. Next.
No, that's for video games. You have R, then you have adult, which is A.
Yeah. God damn it. I'm gonna look this up. I work at a movie theater.
Yeah, dude, it's adult. It's A. For you're thinking of like video games because then you have T, then you have mature, and then after that you have like something else.
You have A for adults.
Yeah,
that's what you just said.
That's what I said.
Give me a second. Who is it?
You just not want to admit I'm right.
No, I'm trying to confirm this. What is it that we're?
The amount of swears a movie can have.
Movie
PG-13 movies are technically allowed one fuck.
NC-17 is what it is. I said NA-17. It's NC-17.
North America 17.
So I was correct. It's G, PG, PG-13, R, NC-17. I just said NA-17 rather than C-17.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, fun fact, you can't actually see rated R films even below the age of 17, as long as you're accompanied with an adult. But I think you have
Oh,
to be
I've been know that.
you have to be above the age of 5, if I remember correct.
You have to be above the age of 5?
Yeah. So technically, you can be almost any age. As long as you're older than 5, but if you're below the age of 17, you have to have an adult accompany you. That is required.
Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna take my 5-year-old to this adult-only movie. Perfectly fine.
Oh, Fizz, one more thing I was thinking about. I may try to find a way to rebind the bash and or the free flight to like the stomp button.
I think maybe one thing I think needs to happen with the free flight is if you hold the shift button, like I think the free flight needs to be something you hold while you're doing it, because like holding something and then letting go to like let it move on its own is a little weird, because I've noticed every time I activate it on accident.
You don't have to hold it
because I'm still holding it. I just rock it off to somewhere that I didn't do. Like I noticed earlier I was showing something on stream and I accidentally activated the free flight and I just rocketed it off somewhere because I was still holding the shift button down.
Wait, I'm confused. So like, are you saying, because that's how you hold it down to activate, are you saying you don't want to have to hold it down, or
like I want to hold it down, but I think having like letting go should be what deactivates it. I think
I was thinking the same thing.
Because, like, I instinctively, because I have to hold it to activate it, I want to instinctively keep holding it. Like, I'm like, all right, I'm holding it, it's active, I want to keep holding it. So I understand having a fast and a slow state, like pressing a button to accelerate and letting go of the button decelerating. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but at the same time, if that same button is a button you use to activate it, it kind of
doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, imagine holding the boost button to boost, but letting go of the boost button doesn't unboost you. You just simply decelerate while boosting.
Yeah, keep in mind, it had a completely different state when I first implemented from Sonic because you held down the drift button to activate it. So it having that was simply just an artifact of that. I was actually thinking the same thing at the time, especially when you brought up like
why didn't you change it?
Anyway, I'm not going to dignify that with an answer. The point is, I agree with you.
Oh.
Oof.
Okay. Fine. All right. I see how it is, Emmanuel. You're not getting any cookies from my birthday.
That's okay. I actually got a brownie right here.
We are open for questions and comments and stuff. So, Michael, if you have any other burning questions to ask, then ask them now.
Sorry, you said burning like he was actually on fire.
Burning Rangers go.
Listen, if you're actually on fire, you got a question. Other than that, I don't want to hear it. Get out.
Random, I guess it's kind of a fun fact. Whenever we were talking about the sling ring, we were throwing around ideas on like giving. What in the fuck is that sound?
Me getting a fork out of a plastic thing so I can eat my brownie. Just ignore me.
We were, if I remember right, we were talking about different like weapons or moves that we could give normal enemies to give them better range, and we were thinking about like it got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to just straight up copy Project Hero, because like we had even discussed Project Hero and how Project Hero had the egg pawns with stretchy arms, ones that can attack you at range because their arms would extend forward whenever they would take a swing at you. I'm like, that is a very interesting and honestly very good idea, and I like it, but I don't want to just straight up take it, because to me that
it already seems like we
really
did that because
dumb.
We had the free flights and we have Knuckles digging, and I think it's like one other thing that just looks like we copied off of them, even though like half the time it's just because it turns out that a lot of Sonic design is very co-divergent or convergent.
Anyway.
Words.
It got to the point where I started thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't think we want ranged enemies to necessarily, other than gunned enemies, ranged enemies shouldn't necessarily damage you. And if I remember right, I think it was Reese that came up with the idea of like using a sling ring. I don't remember how or where it was. We would consider the idea of using a sling ring for something, and then I thought, what if we just gave the enemy a sling ring? And at first it turned out to be a joke, and then we actually started thinking about it, and we're like, oh yeah, this could actually fucking work.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
shit.
originally I was saying, like, what if we made so that the enemies, instead of, like, grabbing, they just made their arm, like, they, like, made a knot out of, like, their coily arm, so it's kind of like a lasso.
Yeah, that's what it was. I think you came up with the idea of, rather than range, like, this theoretical ranged enemy attacking you, what if they simply just grappled you and held on to you?
Yeah, because it is an arm.
Yeah. Which I wasn't against the idea of doing, but I'm also like, I didn't really like the idea of straight up, like, binding the player's movements. And then we took that and we were like, all right, well, what if instead of binding the player's movement, we just simply restrict them? And then I thought about it, and then someone mentioned a sling ring, and I'm like, all right, what if instead of fucking, using their stretchy arms, what if we gave them a sling ring that they use? Because wasn't the sling ring an invention of Eggman's?
I think, I don't know. It depends on which continuity.
I think so.
Actually, no, you're right, because it's a hindrance that for some reason Knuckles and the team have to wear in order to animate each other, and I think it was something Eggman created. I don't think Knuckles just found that shit on the floor.
I don't know. I don't remember the story of Knuckles Chaotix. We played through the game, and I was too dead to even think about it.
We played through the game, and that was just a time and a half.
Not to mention the fact that, we don't want to reveal too much, but we actually did play around with, like, the physics for tethering things, and it works quite well with the player physics, which we didn't expect.
Yeah. It's something that we could do, and within quite the realm of feasibility. It'll just be something that we'll have to play around with, probably a little bit later once we get the actual attack code functioning a little bit better.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed to be in before this update, but we definitely think it's interesting.
Yeah, we would definitely want to try it out, test it, and play around with the idea.
Yeah, but it does sound fun. I think everyone actually, it sounds like the entire team's on board with it at least, which is a good thing.
I'm not.
Anyway, it bans Reese. Everyone's on board with that idea.
Reese, no! Anyway.
Reese, I think you were one of the most enthusiastic about it, actually.
Because I think Reese is the one that came up with the idea of the sling ring.
I am so enthusiastic. I give this a 5 out of 7.
That's 5 out of Simon Cowell.
Simon fucking
Cowell. Out of 10.
Simon fucking Cowell.
Rip. This brownie's not very good.
I feel so sorry for you.
Can I have that cookie now? I'll trade.
Rip.
No, cookie is not in the mail yet. We still need to finish the project before we get our cookies.
Well,
I get that code done. Here we go.
Oh wait, Emerald's broken.
Whenever we're done here, I'm just gonna send you guys a box of cookies.
I would actually appreciate
Except I'm gonna eat them all, so there's only be a couple of crumbs left.
No. Can my crumbs be vanilla flavored?
I actually prefer Carnival.
Carnival?
What the Carnival? What the hell's Carnival?
Carnival means M&M, essentially.
I just call them M&M cookies.
Well, some people call it Carnival, including my school.
I have never in my life ever heard anyone call M&M cookies Carnival cookies.
Okay, fine, Snickerdoodle. There.
What the frick's a Snickerdoodle?
Snickerdoodle cookies.
I know, but I don't know. I know that Snickerdoodle cookies are a thing, but I've not had one.
What about a bourbon?
What the fuck is that?
Bourbon.
The heck's a bourbon?
Cookie boxes.
Bourbons are amazing. And what about custard creams? Those are good as well.
Oh, actually, what I would like is like, what's it called? When like you take the donut, you sandwich it in between like a layer of like just cream filling. Like
Oreo?
have that. No, not that one.
Donut?
It's like no, it's like two actual like regular chocolate chip cookies or whatever. They sell it at like Great American Cookies, and they sandwich it with a layer of like some sort of cream. It's not Oreos. I swear to God, it was really good and also probably really bad for you.
I don't know.
Everything's bad for you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay, Fizz, you introduced something that nobody knows. Then
you're the one who brought up Snickerdoodle.
Peeps Pepsi.
The fuck?
I know that one.
Okay, have you not heard about this, Manuel? Have you not heard about Peeps Pepsi?
I know what Pepsi is. I know there's someone named Peep somewhere in the world.
Okay, have you not heard of the Peeps candy?
No.
God. Okay, Reese didn't know about Peeps candy either. I had to explain it to him. Peeps is a marshmallow. I said mushroom whenever I explained it to Reese too.
Yeah.
Is a marshmallow candy that is in the shape of like a chick, like a little chicken, baby chicken chick, covered in sugar.
I know what you're talking about now. I've never had those, and every time I look at them, it looks like it's actually just made out of clay, and I don't want to eat them.
It's actually disgusting. They also have
They also have diabetes.
Diabetes. They also have bunny type ones. Like rather than being shaped like little chicks, they're shaped like little bunnies instead. Anyway, Pepsi and Peeps came together and they made a marshmallow flavored Pepsi called Peeps Pepsi. Except everyone on Twitter got pissed at them for not calling it Peepsy.
I'm pissed that they made that. That sounds disgusting.
I mean, everyone was like, okay, two things. One, that's fucking disgusting. Two, why didn't you call it Peepsy? Like, that's what everyone on Twitter was saying.
You had two jobs and failed at both of them in half.
It was trending on Twitter the other day, and I was really confused. And then I got on board with them, like, why didn't you call it Peepsy? Also, that's disgusting. I'm still going to try it. I am going to try it. It's going to be
Try
gross.
it on stream. Do a food stream.
I'm going to do a food stream.
Where you rate all of these new foods you've never had.
But, yeah. Have you never had a Peeps, Emmanuel? Really?
No, I haven't. I don't know.
They're an American thing.
I mean, there's multiple parts to America.
They're disgusting.
Not all of America agrees on everything. We can look at politics and we will understand that in 20 seconds. Oh, just look at Twitter. Anyway, sorry for getting political.
Sorry for getting political about Peeps candy.
I swear I won't get political. 3 drinks later. Anyway, this Peeps candy shit.
I promise not to get political. Personally, I prefer Crunch over Hershey's.
I prefer Galaxy over Mars Bar.
Galaxy's a good game. I actually had something really tasty yesterday. Galaxy's a good game.
Game? No, what?
Yeah, anyway, so...
it's chocolate.
Anyway, I had something called Cronut yesterday, which is like a donut, but it's covered in like cinnamon bun stuff. It's actually super delicious. Like my friend gave it to me.
The second half of the stream into food reviews.
We're already almost at the 2-hour mark. We're at the 1 hour and 50-minute mark.
We're just turning this into food reviews now, guys. I hope you weren't hungry.
Yes.
I am very hungry.
Cronut's really good.
All right, let's torture Fizz even more.
I've already ordered the food. It's on its way.
Yeah. Okay. So I actually had a burger today. Like that's what I went to eat, and it was all right. But I had some fries after. It actually made me feel bad. I don't know why. Maybe there's something in it. That's not making Fizz hungry.
Oh no. Anyway,
I stopped paying attention. My blood sugar's dropping, so I'm not going to pay attention anymore.
Well, quick, say more things to make it drop further. He'll pass it on stream. Hamburger.
I have never passed out due to my blood sugar dropping. I have gotten close, but I've never passed out.
I don't think I've ever passed out from anything, which is weird to me still.
Same, I've never passed out from anything.
I've never passed out either, touching wood.
It's knock on wood, Reese.
Knock on.
It's either way. You can.
It's not either way. You knock on the wood.
Oh, yes, it's either way here. For God's sake, look. All right, here.
There. Thank you. Yes.
Hello, who's there?
Hello. Yes.
It's your delivery of pizza with all the toppings, including pineapple.
Okay, hold on. Wait. I'm just now realizing this. Why are there a bunch of pictures and gifs of Sheen in the voice chat?
Wait, you want to like show it on stream real quick?
You just realized what we were doing.
I look over at Twitch and all I see is just Sheen all over the place.
I don't know why. Just Reese during the stream just posted a picture. I'm like, what? He posted another one. I'm like, okay, that's it, motherfucker.
I mean, life is Sheen.
It felt like, oh, to Lord.
I'm
No,
peeing in the
Lord.
shower. Anyway,
I love your Sheen voice there. It sounds like you're really voice like forcing that out.
It sounded like you inhaled 20 cigarettes before you said it.
I'm peeing in the shower. I'm peeing in the shower.
You sound like Dr. Mrs. Girlfriend from Adventure Bros.
I've not seen that.
Oh.
Oh God.
I'm peeing in the shower. My name's Gilbert Gottfried.
My name is Gilbert Gottfried. I'm peeing in the shower.
Guys, if you ever need voice actors, we got you. We're great at this.
Anyway,
Oh no. Anyway.
Oh no. Anyway, we're hitting the 2-hour mark. I gotta use the restroom. I've been drinking water this whole time. I don't think there's anything else we need to talk about.
No, we just need to make sure to make Tails have a mech, obviously.
Clearly,
And we're adding Sheen and Hugh Neutron.
yep,
to
Hugh
Infinity
Neutron and
Quest
Sheen
guys.
are being added.
Confirmed.
I'm pretty
You heard it here
sure
first.
Tiger has grown tired of our shit posting.
Yeah, I think
you
Tiger's
never grow
intensely
tired
like.
of Sheen.
Our Sheen posting.
Sheen.
I think Tiger's intensely like missing our streams because he's like, I don't want to hear it.
Next, we're moving back to Carl eventually. It's a renaissance of Carl.
Yeah, that will be the next tournament arc.
Oh, Jimmy, I don't feel so good.
Yeah, also, my roommates are getting mad. I mean, loud. They're probably mad too. I don't know.
They're getting mad because there's no Sheen.
Probably.
I am dead.
Tiger
That's another
is
thing.
dead.
I wanted to play Elite Dangerous today because their alpha was supposed to. I got their deluxe alpha. And
Oh
yet-
shit! You should go ahead and do that.
I don't have it. I purchased it for $50 like a month ago when it released, and I still don't have it. It was released today, and I don't have it, and I don't know why.
Fizz, wait. Check to
Yeah,
see if it's
upset.
in like one of the beta
have.
branches.
I tried it. Wasn't there. I'll look
Check
again.
the forums.
Just tried everything.
Call them and say that you're mad.
There's nothing there. If I go to their store page, you'll see that whenever I cover over Elite Dangerous Odyssey, it's in library. I've already pre-purchased it.
Remain calm. Do not panic, Fizz.
Your
Just give me all your
50
money.
bucks
I am
has
upsetting
disappeared.
about that. It is
Are
something
you
I wasn't
playing-
playing today.
Daddy.
Have you played Elite Dangerous in VR?
I have. Not very well because my VR setup is in another room.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
It's really hard. Like, playing Elite Dangerous in VR is really cool, but also
Really hard.
it's difficult. It can also be nauseating.
Really hard. I'll stop.
Hard. Solid
Colonel,
stank.
Solid
Let us-
shit.
Let us stop before we keep going.
You weren't there for it, Reese, but it was amazing.
Oh dear.
Manual. Writing Metal Gear Solid fanfiction. Not how
Essentially.
Not how rank Solid Snake is.
He probably smells really bad.
I,
not even-
Otacon. I haven't showered in 5 months.
I'm going back to reading IDW comics. All right.
Alright, well, we're at the 2-hour mark.
We should post it for long enough.
Yeah, we've done enough shit posting. We've talked what we will talk about what we want to talk about. We've discussed we need to discuss. We've shown off what we need to show off, and we've shit posted. So about an average dev stream, you know.
Yeah.
Perfect extreme. Perfect.
We
length.
we save up like
Perfect.
all our shit for like 2 weeks, and we just kind of load on everybody, just our shit posting
Let's
and
rephrase
some
that.
dev stream. Okay.
Again, Emmanuel with his dodgy freaking wording.
God damn it. Anyway, I think we're gonna call it good here. Thanks everybody for showing up. Everyone who's talking and asking questions.
Really appreciate it.
Yep, we're gonna see what else we can get done. I'm trying to think right now, but again, my stomach's like food now. I'm like, oh
Yeah, you should probably just deal with that, honestly.
yeah, I'm probably gonna grab a few grapes to snack on until the food gets
I'll
here.
redeem feed you a fish.
Feed Fizz.
If you're
But I
watching
want-
this on
okay.
YouTube,
There's nothing that happens when that goes on, but whenever that happens, what I want to happen is whenever someone selects that, I want to pull up like a little gif of Fizz eating fish.
Yes.
Or like catching a fish, you know what I mean? That's what I want to
Yeah.
happen.
Just want to give a shout out to all the people watching YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe.
All the YouTube
Yeah.
comments give us feedback on what you think, what we've shown off today, and in between all of our shit posting.
Please.
And we will be back on April 12th.
12? No.
12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
April 12th.
Yes. That's
Jesus.
the next bi-weekly.
This dev stream will be
Christ.
uploaded on April 5th, and our dev stream will be not next Monday, the Monday after on April 12th. So hopefully, I want to get as much as I can done in the next 2 weeks because we're starting to reopen work again. So my location is not reopening, but there are theaters in this area that are reopening. So I want to try and get as much done as I can in these next 2 weeks before things start opening back up. But we'll have to see. So until then, we'll see everybody next time. Thanks everybody who joined in, and until then.
Bye-bye.
See you.